Hello everyone, this is Remlace from 40k Theories, and welcome to the special Sanguinala edition of Adeptus Podcastus, alongside, as always, Michael from Tactica Imperialis and EgoQueenAlexis. So firstly, how is everyone doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm going to be on a plane in a little over 12 hours, so yeah, pretty good.
Fair enough. And we hope everyone listening at home has had themselves a pleasant Sanguinala. Make sure you've been praying to Sanguinius and the Emperor. If you didn't, the Inquisition will be after you. So anyway, in news this week, what is there?
Whoa. You don't get to cut off chaos. Listen up. Enjoy your Slaneshimus, everybody. Make sure you purge some Xenos with your trusted Inquisitorial buddies.
Slaneshimus is until the 1st.
I celebrate Slaneshimus for an entire month, I'll have you know.
Of course.
Anyway, enjoy your Slaneshimus.
So,
and if you... Yeah, go on.
No,
carry on.
you carry on.
Nah, there's nothing to say, really. If you are...
My wayward son. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, you're done.
That is a tune, though. So, again, in the news this week, third time's the charm. What is there?
New rules.
The FAQ for the FAQ.
Kind of. So they basically released an article clarifying how FAQs, chapter approved, and all of those things are going to work. So we're going to be getting 2 major FAQs per year, one in March and one in September. And every codex release will have an errata published within 2 weeks. Chapter approved is a bit more of an overarching thing. They haven't given a timetable for chapter approved. Whether that will go every year like the Age of Sigmar General's Handbook or not, we'll have to see. But they're using that as sort of a chance to reassess the game a bit more widely and that sort of thing. However, more interestingly is that at both Adepticon and the Las Vegas Open, 2 of the biggest tournaments, well, in the world, they're going to be using a couple of beta rules, and there may be more that are going to be added, but these are what we've got right now.
Did you say beta? Don't you mean beta?
I mean, I say beta when I'm over in France, but like, it varies. Some people say beta, some people say beta. Like when I'm speaking in French, I say beta because that's what they say, but it sort of varies. Anywho, beside the point of my pronunciation, which is apparently weird, the first patch is related to character targeting. So the rule is going to change to read as follows. An enemy character with a wounds characteristic of less than 10 can only be chosen as a target in the shooting phase if it is both visible and is the closest enemy model to the firing model. Ignore other enemy characters with a wounds characteristic of less than 10 when determining if the target is the closest enemy unit. This means that if any other enemy units other than characters with a wounds characteristic less than 10 are closer, whether visible or not, the enemy character cannot be targeted. So they basically stopped you creating little character shields around characters.
Because they couldn't nerf freaking characters harder. And that's only because of the stupid character bubbles that people were doing in tournaments, especially with Malefic Lords. You saw this a lot. They would just have a line of Malefic Lords and you had to target them one at a time until they died. And if you had something like a Land Raider, which had multiple weapon systems, it's like, all right, you have 5 Malefic Lords left on the table. I guess I'll throw everything from this Land Raider at one of them.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. And it's not just in the case of like over spamming it in tournaments, although that's what, of course, it's designed for. It also allows for psychers to be actually snipeable. So, for example, or for healer units like Apothecary. So let's say there's an apothecary running around with a captain and a librarian, running around, kicking ass, taking names, and being healed up constantly. You can now pick off that apothecary without having to go through the immortal captain. So it's not just for tournaments, it's also for playing into common sense of if there is just a series of characters running around, of course you're going to target the one at the back who's doing all the healing or the casting or whatever.
Funny you should mention that, because I was just looking at the Dark Angel Codex, which is amazing, by the way. We're going to get to the lore that's in that in a second.
Yeah, we will.
But one of the things that I already saw people trying to spam was actually the Talon Master. It's a character land speeder.
Yeah, we talked about it last time.
Yeah, hits and wounds on a 2-up. But the funny thing about it is it has the Raven Wing keyword, and if you take an apothecary on a bike, he can heal a land speeder.
Huh.
Yeah, so you could take 2 of them, an apothecary and Sammy, and have a character bubble that rerolls everything and can heal every single turn. And it's a bunch of characters, and they're all pretty cheap. And if you surround it by, say, a unit of bikes or Terminators, it's very, very, very hard to deal with.
Yeah, and that won't change because the Terminators or the bikes in the way are still going to be in the way. But if they're now soloing it, or, for example, if it's, I don't know, a little Death Star of like Niall Stormcaller, Aryak Rockfist, Logan Grimnar, diddly-diddly-dee, you can now snipe off the critical healer or caster with a bit more freedom, which is, I think, is really necessary, because I was having problems early on with like targeting Cryptex, because Cryptex are a pain in the arse, because I wanted to pick up this Cryptek, but there was just a Necron Lord ever so slightly closer, so I had to go through the Necron Lord first, even though I needed that Cryptek dead. And
that's a really funny way of saying you want Gilliman dead.
I was talking about Necrons. So.
I know, but you know I have to put that in there.
True, and it also actually... because Celestine's Geminator characters, are they not?
Yes, they are.
So that allows you to pick off Celestine as well, just as a thought.
No, because Celestine is a unit.
Does she have the character keyword?
She does have the character keyword, as they do, but they form a unit, which means you could just immediately put those wounds on those little girls.
Ah.
But it also means that if there's a closer character, such as an Imagifier or any other ally character near them, you can snipe Celestine's unit instead.
Yes. Yes, you can. And I think this is just a really essential thing that needed to happen. So it's a really good change. I'm really happy with that change.
I mean, I'm okay with the whole, characters can't be shot at because closer units, it represents that they're heroes and everything. But I'm pretty sure if there's a field commander, and then you look behind the field commander and there's Gilliman, you're going to shoot Gilliman first.
Yeah, and that's what the whole 10 wound thing is about. It's just Gilliman, by design, is designed to cheat that.
Yep.
Now, the second rule, we were discussing this one last time. They've actually done it. They've nerfed Smite spam.
About time. So
the current way it works is that each psychic power can only be attempted once per turn, except Smite. However, they've now changed it to say that with the exception of Smite, each psychic power can be attempted only once per turn rather than once per cycle per turn. In addition, subtract 1 from the result of any psychic test taken when attempting to manifest Smite for each other attempt, whether successful or not, made during this psychic phase. So the casting roll gets harder and harder and harder.
So the first time it's 5, the second time it's 6, then 7, then 8 and 9, so on and so forth.
Exactly. Now, I think they could have gone further, but it's a start.
I think it's good because it's going to limit Smite down to about 3 to 4 times a turn. I think the Grey Knights still get around it because they have special baby Smite. I'm just going to call their ability now Super Baby Smite. It's going to sound like a baby exploding when it hits you. I'm sorry.
How very chaotic.
What, have you ever heard of an exploding baby?
Yes.
Oh, okay then. Well, I mean, you're Inquisition. It makes sense.
Oh, dear.
But yes, the rules updates are actually, they're really nice. It's really cool to see that GW is taking an active stand and listening to everybody. Like, if you listen to their podcasts and everything, they really do listen to the fans. They show up at tournaments. I've actually met a couple of the design teams, as you guys know. I've already hugged Duncan. Got him to say my intro before I got Michael to say my intro. Could you believe that?
Yes. Let's be honest, the Tower not known for their sense of humour.
That is true.
Just as a counterpoint, to play devil's advocate, this is something I saw on one of the forums today. Is there a risk that because of the fact that we've got the indices and then the codices and then they've got their erratas and then we've got chapter approved and now we're getting these regular FAQs and we've got the beta rules, is there a risk that 8th is going to go the way of 7th, where you're going to need a bajillion different things to try and stay on top of the rules? Is there a risk of that?
Right now, to play my Dark Angels, okay, I need, like, how I play my Dark Angels is I play Ravenwing. So I like librarians on bikes. So I have the Dark Angel Codex in front of me. I need to get a librarian on a bike. I need to get the index. In order to get the appropriate rules for everything, including the force stick, which
Should have clipped there.
Yeah, I did. I can't say force weapons. They annoy me, mostly because they hurt. Anyway, to get the force stave, I actually need to get chapter approved so I can get the updated points for it. So right now I'm rocking 3 books just to play one character in the Dark Angel book. On top of that, if I want to take a special Dreadnought or a Redemptor Dreadnought or the Deredeo, I need the Forge World book and chapter approved and the Codex to play the army. Most Imperial armies are going to be rocking 4 or 5 books just to play them. If you're playing in Imperial Soup, you're probably going to need about 6 books. So yeah, there's a lot that you need to play. And to be honest, I kind of don't mind it. I like the books. And they did actually have a counterpoint to this. GW is now updating the non-physical copies immediately upon the once they do the FAQs and everything. The FAQs will be included in the book, the digital copies of the books. And there is talk of the updated points and everything in them. So it might be better off for you to buy a tablet and just download the books.
That's fair. However, I, from experience, can tell you there is something very, very different about having...
Oh my God, we agree.
Well, yeah, obviously, if you want to save money, having the e-copy, I think the e-copy might even be cheaper than the paper copy anyway. But it makes sense to have the e-copy that is constantly updated, constantly patched. It makes total sense. But there is something about having the book in your hand, particularly when it comes to referencing things and checking things. It's so much easier to flick through a book to your war gear page or to your stat lines than it is to flip through a tablet. I find it much, much easier.
I actually find it more enjoyable. I mean, for me, it's easier to just hit Control F, search keyword, find the rule immediately. But there's a certain thing about just opening the book.
Yeah. And
I like books better.
Yeah. I think it's worth having the e-copies if you are going to be needing to keep them super up to date and on top of the tournament. I think most people will need an e-copy, which is kind of bad in itself because you then have to have a tablet or a PC that you can take to tournaments with you, but that's kind of a different debate.
Actually, most tournament players that I've run into, what winds up happening is they're all using Battlescribed, which updates with the rules and everything, and they have the physical copies of the books. I find it a bit amusing.
I use Battlescribe as a list builder, but I don't use it as a rule checker because that thing is like, it's terrible at keeping up to date. At Age of Sigmar, half of the stuff isn't even there on Battlescribe, so I don't always know how up to date it is and stuff. So I would rather have the actual book if I can.
I kind of agree. I can't argue with you. This is a strange feeling for me. Huh.
Sorry.
Remlitz, is this how you feel when you talk to him?
Not really.
Well, that's because usually you just beat me into the ground with logic and lore that I don't know. Speaking of things about lore that we didn't know, let's talk about that Dark Angels Codex, shall we?
Yes. Oh, man. Luther escaped.
Yes, even though a lot of people seem to be more focused on the fact that, oh my God, the lion's alive. He's been alive since 1996.
Wait, how is that a revelation?
How is this news?
I don't know. I just keep seeing a lot of people on Facebook freaking out about it. It's like, it's not new.
But that's literally been out since, like, second. Like, that's in the first Dark Angel Codex.
Yeah, I know. But people don't... I remember going into this argument with one of the admins on one of the Facebook pages saying, we've known this since the 90s. Like, no, you haven't, or post and proof, or you're talking bullshit. Okay, here's a screen cap from Codex Angels of Death, 2nd edition. Bam!
I mean, the first time I saw it written down was in the 6th edition Codex, but then again, I wasn't really paying attention to Dark Angels at all.
Well, who would be? Hey-oh.
Me. I like the Dark Angels, okay?
They're just kind of there.
No, to me, they actually feel like the grimdark Space Marines the way that they should feel. It's a hell of a lot better than the freaking Lamenters or something like that, where they're bright yellow.
I don't know.
The Dark Angels actually look like knights.
I don't know. The Black Templars might have something to say about that.
The Black Templar also fit, and I really like them. I don't like who their original chapter is, because yellow is stupid.
And then someone in the comments is going to be saying you're insisting on a fisting.
No, that one poor person in the comments is going to look at his Space Marines and go, "You're not stupid. Alexis is stupid. Just hug Dorn. You're adornable."
Yes.
We'll get to Dawn in a moment, I think. But yeah, the Dark Angels for me have just been there. Like, they're interesting enough as an idea. Like, the idea of, like, the Fallen and Cypher and the Deathwing and the Ravenwing make them unique. And when I study them as a Legion for my lore series, it was interesting to see them. But they never engaged me the same way that the Thousand Suns story engaged me, the same way that even the culture of the Salamanders engaged me, and I wanted to know more about life on Nocturne and things like that. Or looking at how the Night Lords cope under Curse, before Curse, and after Curse. The Dark Angels never had that big...
They were just there.
Yeah, they were just there. I can't really say
I can disagree with Michael again.
They're kind of like the White Scars in a way. They were just there.
No. Alright, you do not...
That being said, though, the White Scars did get more interesting by having half their Legion also kind of turn traitor.
Yeah, the whole Sakyar Mazan angle was really interesting.
Yeah. They did it better than the Dark Angels did. Now Alexis is saying they're fuming.
No. Yes. I really like the Dark Angels lore. I love the fact that they're so secretive. They're so worried about the Inquisition knowing their secrets, even though in the latest comic, the Will of Iron series, it's starting to become more of a well-known thing that the Dark Angels are actually half fallen. And they're now framing the Dark Angels as traitors. And then you had the whole War on Fenris thing where the Dark Angels are trying to purge the mutants. And then it turns out that they're being tricked by a freaking changeling, who then Gilliman kills, and it's in a very unironic turn. I wish that was explained, because that was kind of sad.
Gilliman comes, saves the day, and says, "Right, I'm going to go home and bang Ivrain."
Pretty much.
While the Girinx watches.
No, but enough. I do like the whole the secretive nature. I mean, if you do take a step back, Lionel Johnson is very clearly homosexual. I mean, the whole chapter is a very, very, very good undertone for that, but I still like them and everything.
Their Primarch was named after a gay poet.
Well, yes.
The chapter was named after his poem of coming to terms with his homosexuality.
And there's The Rock being named after...
Apparently that's not true. The Rock.
Yeah, I haven't never seen actual evidence of that, but I do like the whole idea.
It's just a rumor. A very entertaining rumor, but still a rumor nonetheless.
But it does make sense that Lion and Luther, they do have this whole lovers' quarrel thing going. That's what it feels like when you take a step back and look at it. You're just like,
Even though Luther's his adoptive daddy.
Hey, you know what? He calls him daddy in many ways.
Stop.
Well, it's true. Luther adopted Lion and trained him.
Yeah, I know that part, but just stop.
Anyway, let's move on from this, because we're making Michael uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Makes you wonder during their final duel, did Lion say to Luther, "Choke me, daddy"?
enough.
I didn't say something incredibly stupid, just letting you guys know.
Yes, that one commenter. But...
That's one comment.
But anyway, that is a thing in and of itself. But hey, I think what's most I'm curious about is I'm really looking forward to, as regards Dark Angel's lore and where it goes next. Obviously, Luther's escape, because we got completely sidetracked from the fact that Luther cocking escaped, which is where this entire escaped / got out through Deus Ex Machina. It's not. Does it say explicitly escaped or just disappeared?
He escaped.
Deus Ex Cypher, let's be honest, it's going to be Deus Ex Cypher.
Actually, it could have been during the whole war with Magnus thing. Or, the thousands of wars that they've been in since then.
It could have been any number of times, and that's what makes it interesting. But what I think that's done is it's opened the door for the Lion returning without having to deal with the whole how does Lion Luther going to interact regards to the Fallen, etc., etc. It allows them to keep the Fallen whilst bringing Lion back and not having to reconcile it immediately because Luther's right flipping there. So I think that's a really shrewd move. As much as it's interesting, it's very shrewd as well.
Also, did Cypher ever actually escape from the Imperial prison?
Probably.
It's
Cypher.
not. It's not.
Well, no, I mean, jokes aside, is it stated that he escaped yet?
It is stated that he would escape soon enough, but it didn't say exactly when he did.
So for all we know, right now, he's still on Terra.
Potentially, but at the same time, he could be the one who broke Luther out of jail.
So he's on Terra along with Kion, and Abaddon is on his way.
Kaon? Wait, why is Kaon on Terra?
Wait, what is the name of the Psyker?
Is Kandar Kaon?
Yeah.
But why the fuck is he on Terra?
Because he surrendered
turned himself in.
When?
In Talon the Horus. It's described right in the beginning.
That was 9,000 years ago.
He's still there.
He turned himself in and then started telling the story of how the Black Legion was formed.
Okay, I get that. He's telling about it, but unless he's been allowed to Susan the shit out of it, how is he still alive?
Oh, easy. He's psychic, and he survived the rubric. And he's strong enough that he defeated Magnus. Apparently.
And
maybe a shard.
And he shot a spaceship at a planet.
Yeah, after carrying it for a couple of months through the warp.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying Istan Darkaean isn't a powerhouse. I'm just surprised he's still alive.
He also has an entire army of demons in his pocket.
And a giant wolf.
Is that wolf still alive?
It wasn't Talon the Horus.
But that was 10,000 years ago.
Well, demons don't age. Oh, aside from the one that aged.
Well, if it's a familiar or a demon of some kind, then yes, he'll still have it. He won't be allowed to summon it.
Well, no, I mean, did Horus actually kill it?
Horus killed its physical form. It basically faded back into the warp, so after 10,000 years, it'll pop back.
Well, given that you can only banish even the most hard demons to summon, that being the Primarchs, can only be banished for 100 years, yeah.
Well, except Kaon can literally, he ripped apart he ripped apart a bigger demon so much so that even the gods themselves would take 10,000 years to bring it back.
Huh. Okay, yeah. So Iskandar Kaon is basically the sort of
he's Magnus 2.0.
He's the psychic plot device of the day.
Also, could we talk about Talon of Horus for a second?
Sure.
Am I the only one that's kind of blown away that they're starting to flesh out the 13 Black Crusades, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's Felbadon the Harmless, blah, 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 even though he won all of those crusades. And no, he hasn't gone against Cadia every single time. He's only gone against it twice.
Well, wasn't the 12th Black Crusade, the Gothic War?
Yeah, and then the 13th was the attack on Cadia, and then they extended it by saying that was only the first wave, and now the second wave came, and then he crushed Cadia.
Yeah, and then it sort of died on Ultramar.
Yeah, but all of this said, Abaddon has actually been succeeding in almost everything that he's done, except for Deus Ex Machina's that prevented him from succeeding, he is on a direct route now after placing a whole bunch of the obelisks in certain areas so the Imperium is cut off from seeing where he's coming from. He now has a direct route to Terra, has 2 really powerful characters on Terra, and, like, he's actually a threat. Like, I gotta give it to them. Freaking Town of Horus was amazing and made Abaddon seem terrifying.
I thought Abaddon just deserved credit for the fact he went up against a clone of Horus and killed it.
Well, granted, he had a lot of help.
It wasn't that much
he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yeah, because the Horus clone tore through everyone. The Horus clone pretty much killed everyone.
Kion put up a good fight, but even Kion was too weakened, so he had to retreat.
Yeah, the only one I remember actually coming out of that anywhere okay was Eucharist the World Eater, who was just firing a heavy bolter non-stop. But Abaddon caught Worldbreaker, actually physically caught Worldbreaker out of the air
and shattered it.
And snapped it in 2. With the Talon of Horus, that must be pointed out.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Abaddon pretty much soloed that. He's never not been a threat. The problem is, it's just he was written... I think this was... when he was being written and the Black Crusades were being set up, it was always sort of... With the 30th Black Crusade always being so focused on Cadia, because it has been, people have always just assumed that, well, if Abaddon doesn't take Cadia, then the Black Crusade didn't get anywhere, or it didn't achieve one of its objectives or something. And Abaddon has never not been a threat. Actually, I just want to address something very, very quickly, in that some people don't like the way I look at the Black Legion, because I say that the Black Legion is sort of, it only works because of Abaddon. Some people don't like the fact that I say that, because they don't... But it's
pretty much true, though.
Yeah, I know it is. And the point is, it is held together by Abaddon's will and Abaddon's will alone, pretty much. It's
not just his will, it's also his charisma and charm.
And he's literally Horus.
He literally won over, warriors from the Thousand Sons, the World Eaters, the Emperor's Children, basically all from the Traitor Legions. He won them over from being inspirational. He didn't threaten them, he didn't cajole them, he just charmed them.
Also, he's a true brother. He helped Kion deal with the loss of his Scourge. When the Scourge was taken from him, they charged directly into the webway, right into Kimura, to get her back for him.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to him. Abaddon, I like Abaddon. I never thought that I would say that.
And speaking of the 13th Black Crusade against Cadia, let's be honest, there's no shame in... going up against the 3rd most heavily defended world in the entire galaxy and not coming on top. Let's be honest, because the only 2 worlds that are more heavily defended are Terra and Mars.
In all fairness, his goal wasn't to take Cadia. It was to shatter that obelisk, and he succeeded.
Yep.
He lost one of his flagships in the process, but Abaddon knows that he could just go right back into the warp and get another one.
Yep.
The scariest thing about Abaddon is that at any point he could have bypassed it because he knows the webway.
I think... I know why Abaddon became Failbidden, and I know all of that stuff, and I still don't think I like Abaddon the same way I like Ahriman and I like Typhus, but I respect Abaddon. I really do. I have respect for what he was able to do.
Now, I do want to say one quick thing. In my earlier videos, I hated Abaddon, and I hated on him. I did the whole Fall of Cadia thing and made him a joke. And I do want to say I am glad the writers have actually the writers stepped up and made him amazing again.
And
also,
I don't... Go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that I don't think... The problem is, no matter how much hype they give Abaddon, and this is, I think, maybe where the whole fail thing comes from, Abaddon's not allowed to win. He's allowed to win the... He's not... Sorry, I'll try that again. He's not allowed to win the Long War.
No, he is winning the Long War.
He's winning it, but he's not allowed to win it. As in, he's not allowed to complete it and win.
From a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah, as far as the plot is concerned, he cannot take Terra.
Though he may come very close.
Personally think that he is going to. And I have a reason for this. Abaddon actually stared into the Astronomicon, something that nobody can do. It caused his eyes to turn gold and caused a whole bunch of, like... It basically made him into Abaddon that we know now. I think that the Emperor wants Abaddon to hit Terra. I think all of this, especially from the Malcador book, is all part of a gigantic plan that the Emperor has. Because if they come close, once they come into the death range of Terra and Mars, there is no escape for them. They will be destroyed. The legions will be gone.
Yeah,
well,
that's very true. The point that I think I was trying to make is, yes, Abaddon's allowed to get to Terra, and it might be because there may be a plan to lure him to Terra to try and do that, but the point stands that if Abaddon wins and Terra falls and the Emperor dies, unless they canonize the Emperor being a perpetual and he is able to die and resurrect fast enough that the Astronomicon doesn't go out permanently, if all of that happens, then Abaddon is allowed to take Terra for 5 minutes, because he will then still lose.
Surprise, it's the Star Child.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the entire time Abaddon was actually the Star Child?
Oh, dear God.
That'd be silly.
That would be very silly. But yeah, Abaddon is not allowed to win. And that is his downfall, because he is fantastically written as a character for the most of the time. I have a lot of respect for what he does, for how he held the Sons of Horus and brought them back together and created the Black Legion and prosecuted the Long War. And the way he runs the place and has his false Mornival, and the way he treats other Chaos Lords and deals with the other traitor Primarchs is fantastic, but he's not allowed to win.
I mean, this is a character so powerful that the Demon Primarchs took a knee to him.
Admittedly, he did have to literally beat up the half the World Eaters for Angron to even give him any notice.
Still.
Yes, still.
If you can make Angron take the knee to you, you've done something right.
I don't know if Angron did take the knee. I thought he just said, "Yeah, you're all right. You've got my support."
It seems to be implied at the end of Talon of Horus, where they kind of preview events to come, and it says like all the 9 Primarchs bent the knee to Abaddon, and the only one who came close to killing them was actually Mortarion.
Yep, and it was only because of his plagues and not because of him.
Yeah.
Man.
That Abaddon is definitely being turned around in many ways, but I do know. I think we all have to accept at the back of our minds, this only ends one way. Unless they do a very convoluted swerve plot twist at the end and canonize the whole perpetual thing, he can't win. And I think that's just something we have to remember. And as much as I love him and think he's a fantastically written character, I can't back him because I know he's going to lose.
I've just now got this mental image in my head. Basically, Abaddon leads the 13th Black Crusade to Terra. He gets all the way into the Imperial Palace. He even gets it through the Eternity Gate. He walks up to the Emperor's throne. Dante comes out of nowhere and they kill each other.
Because, fucking symbolism.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still just waiting for Karn to get to Terra, land on Terra, and just freaking Celestine just reemerges. Round 2, bitch!
I could use more head.
Ha.
To be fair, actually, it'd be interesting to see how Karn reacts to being on Terra, because, last time he was there, he fucking died.
Not to mention he was the first one through.
Sources conflict. Some say it was Angron. But, anywho.
I'm going from the source from Karn, Eater of Worlds. Says he was the first one through, so...
Yeah, we'll get it canonized when we get to the Battle of Terra itself.
Yes. Then they'll just say, like, hey, surprise, it was actually Araman. Okay. Surprisingly. Or Cypher,
That would be really
or
fun.
Lucius, or...
It turns out to be Cypher all along.
It was Alfarius.
Damn it. Anyway, as we made mention to a little earlier, there is another book that I think we need to talk about.
Well, audio drama, but...
Audio drama, Black Library release. Then I'll be politically correct, and this is the Malcador one. What's it called again?
Malcador.
It's just called Malcador. I don't know.
I think it's called something else. Hang on, let me just double check.
Fair enough, but there are as you'd expect. It's a book about, well, it's a release about Malcador the Sigillite, and when you're Malcador the Sigillite and it's the Horus Heresy, you are privy to absolutely everything. And
it's called First Lord of the Imperium.
Which makes sense. He was kind of running the Council of Terror for a while, so that makes sense.
He was also the Emperor Regent.
And that. Yeah, there are revelations in here.
And we're not talking about the Emperor from the Last Church.
Ding.
I wonder how many people actually got that reference.
Everybody who watches Text-to-Speech.
I mean, who doesn't like Texas? Texas. I'm done.
Who doesn't like Texas? Everything's bigger in Texas.
But anyway, shall we discuss the revelations that came out of this audio drama?
Yes, so consider
Oh my god,
this
the everything that...
consider this your spoiler warning if you haven't listened to it.
Yes,
Yeah, if you haven't
it's a-
listened to it, it's $3. Get it.
yes, but still, massive spoiler warning. You have been warned. We'll put a timestamp in the description.
Nuh-uh.
Right, so... The Horus Heresy was planned from the beginning. Dun dun dun, tinfoil hat time.
We sort of knew this already, or had a speculation that this was the case, but now it's been confirmed.
Basically, we engineered the Horus Heresy so they just kill each other. Yeah, so we wouldn't have to do it.
Well, it was at the end of the Crusade, the Great Crusade, that half of them were to fight each other. There is an interesting point that I want to bring up really quickly before we go into this. There is a quote from Malcador stating, I asked him to make some of you female so you would be more civil. I think the Emperor wanted them to be all male, the Primarchs that is, so that they would fight each other. And now this newest book, which is the Malcador book, kind of confirms that. Just saying.
So basically, if you were a useless Primarch, yeah, you were getting the job.
Now, I do want to discuss who would be considered a useless Primarch.
Well, Angron, because he was broken and damaged, and after, conquering the galaxy, what use is there for him?
Now, hang on. When we say planned from the start, we're talking before the Primarchs got scattered here. Before, or at least before they were found. So Angron wouldn't have been broken.
No, but retroactively, he would be given the job after the Emperor got him. But it's like, oh, it's broken. Because don't forget, the Emperor did want to kill him.
Yes, I know. All I'm saying is that if it means planned from the start, as in right from day one, was Angron on the original 9, or was he retroactively added?
Well, whether he was one of the original 9 or not is kind of immaterial. He would have been, or regardless of position, he would have been given the job regardless, just because of the butcher's nails.
Yeah, okay. So,
my candidate for the first one that wouldn't have been killed would be Fulgrim pre-fall. Because the Emperor actually did care about Fulgrim.
Yep, I would say Fulgrim would live.
Sanguinius
would.
Sanguinius easy. Lehman Russ, because you need the Executioner.
Fair. Guilliman,
yep, running an empire. Horus.
Yep, you need a War Master. Dorn.
Yeah, I can see Dorn.
Because it helps to have an architect and someone who is prolific in space. Because Horus is great on the ground, Dorn can handle space.
No, Fulgrim was the best at naval combat.
It's pretty much canonically stated in Book 3 that it was the Imperial Fist.
Probably, but Fulgrim almost killed Horus.
I'm aware of that, I'm aware of that. I'm just saying
Also,
that
during the Legion Wars, the reason the Emperor's Children were so good at it is because of their naval prowess. But then again, that didn't involve the Imperial Fifth, so your point stands.
Yeah, it's hard to know, and we'll probably never know. So that gives us...
How many is that now?
6.
A debatable one could actually be, surprising enough, Kurz. And this is only because when systems attempted to rebel, and then they found out the Night Lords were coming, they went, "Oh shit, never mind."
Yeah, for every legal path, you need someone to scare them.
Yeah.
Kurz, I think Kurz was too. I think Kurz would have been originally planned to be kept alive, but his mental instability would have seen him put on the kill list.
Oh, yeah.
I could also see the same thing with Lionel Johnson. He would be on the kill list. He's almost as good as Reboot Gilliman when it comes to being a politician, but
it's not even close.
His deceptive nature and his battle tactics weren't exactly honorable.
But at the same time, he was also, cold and logical, which could have made him quite a valuable asset. He'd be like, okay, yeah, we need to kill these people. Okay, kill them. We're going to save these people. Whatever works.
I tell you who I think he'd keep. Alfarius.
Spy master.
Having a secret service. He'd be on the live list.
Yeah. So what does that leave to kill?
Hang on. Magnus. Missed Magnus.
Oh, yeah.
Magnus is a definite.
Yeah, because he was going to be sitting on the golden toilet.
Okay, so Gilliman, Dawn, Horus, Sanguinius, Alfarius, Magnus.
How many is that?
That's 6. Hang on, I've forgotten the other ones.
Booty Killer Man.
Said that.
Dawn.
Said that.
Russ
missed that one. And then 8 debatable is Kurz.
Kurz of the Lion.
Kurz, Lion, and Vulcan.
Vulcan would.
I personally think Vulcan would have died.
But Vulcan lives. Stomp, stomp.
I know the joke.
No, I think he'd keep him around because he's very likable. He's a good face for the Imperium.
Yeah, and the people loved him.
Gilliman can run the place, and Horus can fight, and Dawn can fight its wars, but Vulcan is the perfect...
So Mortarion would be killed.
So, okay, so 2 out of 3 of Lion, Kurz, and Vulcan are on the live list. And that gives us 10.
So which ones do we say are going to die?
So Angron.
Angron, definite. Yeah, I could agree with that.
Broken, yeah.
Pert.
Yep.
Mort.
Mortarion, yep. Without a doubt. He was already poisoned from a child.
Lorgar.
Yeah.
Hang on
actually, Lorgar, being the fanatic, could be a good, not so much an ecclesiarch, but something similar, basically maybe like a propagandist.
And also, we just missed Fulgrim.
Oh, Fulgrim would be included, yeah.
Yeah, so
he would live.
So that's okay. So Fulgrim's on the live list. That's 1 out of 3 for Kurz, Lion, and Vulcan on the live list, and maybe even Lorgar.
Okay, so we know Mortarion and Angron and Perturabo would be killed.
Well, being said about Perturabo, he was still very good. Not as good as Dawn in regards to building, but he was incredible at demolition, incredible at siege work.
But why would you need that when the galaxy was secure?
Especially when you have Lionel Johnson, who's also really good at it.
And potentially but also on the potential kill list.
Yeah. I would put Perturabo more on a potential kill list rather than a definite. I'd put potential for him.
Khan?
Dead.
Yeah,
Korax?
What good would Khan do anyway?
Korax?
Yeah.
Korax,
I think he'd be killed.
He's stealth, but if you have Alfarius as a comparison, I'd go with Alfarius.
I think you might actually use Korax as a more stable Kurz, though.
Potentially, but were Terra tactics ever known? People didn't react to the same way in the Raven Guard as they did from the pure abject fear of the Night Lords.
You have a point. You have a very fair point.
Because someone thinks we're rebelling. It was like, oh, is that the Night Lords coming? Collective sound shitting.
Yeah. Right, hang on a minute. Manus?
Manus?
Ferrus
Manus.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, kill him.
Okay, so
Alright, who's going to do the line from TTS?
Mortarion, Angron, Pert, Manus, Korax, Khan, that's 6. And then we've got 4 maybes and 8 on the live list. And so then we've covered everybody there.
Apart from the 2 Primarchs.
Actually, hang on a minute. How have we just managed to do that? 6, 4, and 8. That's right, yeah. So we've got one person to keep alive out of Lorgar, Kurz, Vulcan, and Lion.
I'd have to give it to the Lion to live.
I'd go with Vulcan.
I'd probably go with Vulcan overall.
Alright, fair enough.
Just because the people love the guy. Like him
also, his tactical...
He and Sanguinius would be like the public faces of the Imperium to interact with the common people. Because everyone loves Sanguinius, everyone loved Vulcan.
He was also a really good innovator of weaponry.
Exactly, he'd be a fantastic person to work with as a forger within the absence of a Perturabo and a Manus and potentially, well, not Fulgrim, but yeah.
Could you imagine him and Fulgrim working together on a project?
Yeah, mad.
That weapon would like kill suns. That would be ridiculous.
It'd be kind of like what Ferrus Manus and Fulgrim did.
Ding. Yeah. So, but that means that we're basically saying that Lorgar was too dangerous to keep around, which I agree he was.
Yeah, too fanatical.
Because even if even if Monarchia didn't happen, I think he'd have found chaos anyway. I stand by that.
Well, considering that his, home planet was worshipping chaos, that's kind of a given.
Kurz was too unstable to keep around.
Angron was Angron.
Yeah, by the same logic of Angron, you have to kill Kurz.
And by that same logic, you have to kill Mortarion.
Who was just too bitter, yeah. The only one that I'm struggling to rationalize killing is Lion, and the only reason I'm saying that is because everything Lion can do, basically Guilliman can do better.
Yeah, he's just not good enough.
I think Lion was a better swordsman than Guilliman, but that's about it. And that doesn't save you from, that's not good enough.
Yeah, if you're a worse politician than Guilliman, a worse fighter than Horus, and a worse people person than Sanguinius.
And worse secret keeper than Alfarius.
Although, Lionel Johnson has one aesthetic going for him that no one else has. He has his secretive nature.
Alfarius.
It's a little bit beyond that. It's affected his entire legion.
Alfarius.
Well, I'm saying this not as the whole, spy tactics. His secrets are more like the Secret Service.
Isn't that...
No, you have the CIA and you have the Secret Service. Lionel Johnson would be the Secret Service, where Alfarius would be the CIA.
We just have MI5, and Alfarius would do all of that. Well, we have MI6 and stuff as well, but I think everything that Lion could do in a Secret Service role, I just think Alfarius would do it better. Because the Alpha Legion were way, way more flexible and much more used to working in the dark.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers that. That was actually a good little chat.
Yeah, it's good theory craft.
Mm.
And it's actually interesting to see how many traitors we just kept alive.
More traitors than loyal.
Well, Horus is living. Alfarius is living, but his traitor status is debatable. Fulgrim's living.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3. I'm trying to run back through the list. The only other one that
Magnus,
Magnus was The only other one that I think we could debate about, and I know you're going to probably shoot me down for saying this, is Russ.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He was very wild and very feral. So the Emperor could wonder.
But fiercely loyal.
I understand the logic of keeping him alive because you need that overwhelming force, and you need someone like that who is completely loyal. I get that. But the fact is that if the galaxy is secure, the only reason Russ is there is an enforcer to keep the other Space Marines in line.
But what's going to be more effective in regards to, say, keeping people in line? a bunch of wild dogs that'll be left off the leash and just wreck shit up, or a force that doesn't even have to lift a finger and people will be scared into submission just by mentioning their name? What's more effective?
This is true,
Yeah,
but then you have
look
to
at the
be careful.
combat history. Like, it's theorized, of course, that Leman Russ has actually killed 2 other Primarchs already.
Yeah, and I don't think Leman Russ was being kept alive for the sake of the populace. He was being kept alive for the sake of the Primarchs, to stop Horus getting any grand ideas, to stop Guilliman getting too above his station. That's why Russ was alive, not for the people who would be scared enough by the fact that, it's the Space Marines. I think that Russ was there solely to stop Horus or anyone else rising above their station.
So basically, in a situation where the Great Crusade's over, there's no more threat except for the occasional odd, orc infestation, no more, Primarchs. Who's going to be more effective for keeping the civilians under control, the Space Wolves or the Night Lords?
But as I say, the fact that go on.
You do need somebody to keep the Space Marines in line, and I want to bring this up as a point. The Space Wolves and the Custodians work together extremely well, along with the Sisters of Silence. The Talons work well with Leman Russ.
Yes, we saw that on Prospero.
Yeah,
But didn't the Custodians also work well, with Korax?
I don't remember the 2 of them ever working together.
On Deliverance Lost.
yeah.
Best.
Or
I could see them being kept around as a pseudo-police force.
But then again, keeping the Space Marines in line, you could always potentially give that role to the Custodians.
True enough.
True, but would the Custodians be able to stop a Primarch alone?
Well, considering there was that one in the First Heretic who nearly took out Lorgar if it wasn't for the fact Agaltal stabbed him in the back, and he killed, 4 word bearers on his own before nearly cutting off Lorgar's head?
The Captain General killed dozens of Black Legionaries before needing to be rescued. Same with that Sister of Silence.
Yeah.
What was her name? It wasn't... Well, I'm thinking Katarina for some reason. I'm thinking Greyfax. What was her name?
The head of the Sisters.
The sister that went with the Custodian to stop the 13th Black Crusade.
The one in Emperor's Legion?
Yep.
I've forgotten her name, but I know who you mean, yeah.
I don't
Yeah, the one who stopped the 13th Black Crusade.
Sorry, don't know.
I thought they just stopped having a Necron, pylon dropped.
That was the most important part of their operation, was getting that thing into position. And they stopped it.
Yeah.
Which effectively cut off the 13th Black Crusade.
No, it didn't cut off the Crusade, it just stopped Terror being cut off, because those pylons were erected in places which were warp entry points for Imperial forces. So that was to stop the Sol system from being surrounded.
Fair enough.
But yeah, is there anything else coming out of the Malcador audio drama just before we move on that we need to talk about besides the whole super best laid plans and all that?
The fact that the
Malcador is 6,000 years old.
And the fact that the Order Hospitalier were around before the Sisters of Battle.
Well, it makes sense that there was a civilian medical order. To some extent, anyway.
And they were referred to as sisters.
And also the fact that the Emperor wasn't the Emperor when Malcador met him. He was just the greatest of the warlords. Which could be interpreted a number of ways.
Especially after you read Master Mankind, where he is the boy who would become king and the other names that he had. And then when he met Malcador, he finally became the Emperor. Yeah.
My own personal headcanon is that Malcador saw the Emperor. You're the one that my ancestors as shamans were going to be. Awaken your powers. Bling.
So he dendade him?
He dimday.
Well, the Emperor had already been to Malek by this point.
I know.
But yeah, it is very interesting that you say that. It is very interesting.
Well, Malcador's 6,000 by, like, M30 something, so that would make him around... Yeah, he would have been around during M25.
Yeah, he'd have seen the entire Age of Strife play out.
Yeah.
What if he tried to stop it? Oh, we also got a confirmed case that Malcador is a warrior. He fought alongside the Emperor.
Ah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And Malcador did care about his subordinates.
Yes. He loved his astropath.
I mean, I know this doesn't sound like much, but considering the Emperor himself didn't really care about anybody except for Arkin Lan.
Numero uno.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to see that his right-hand man did.
Well, don't forget, Malcador was just human. Just an incredibly powerful psychic human.
Yeah, that's not really saying just human. It's just like...
He was more human than the Emperor.
Oh, that's a better... Yeah, I like that. All right.
He was more human than the Emperor and more human than the Primarchs.
Fair enough.
He was your codgety old granddad who'd sit there going, "Keep your noise down, you blasted kids, before I bust a cap of solar fire in your ass."
Is it bad that I imagine him with, like, what... Was it Korak? No, who is the scary Primarch?
Kurz.
Kurz. I always get Kurz and Korax confused. Sorry, my bad. But I'm just imagining, like, the reason Kurz is because when he was, like, a toddler walking around, Malcador put on a scary mask and scared him.
For future reference, if you want to tell them apart, Kurz is goth and Korax is emo.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
That's how you tell them apart.
That's good. So, are we ready for questions?
I think we are, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So, this question technically didn't happen yet, but it's going to, so I want to read this anyway. What did you guys get for Xmas, or Slaneshmas in Alexis's case?
I have no idea, because Christmas hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. But their other question is a really good one.
Okay.
With 2017 almost over, what were your guys' high and low in Warhammer 40k? I gotta say, 8th edition coming out was a high, and low, 7th edition.
Fair enough.
Does that count?
That counts.
I think it's hard to, because I've got to sort of break it down, because in terms of a model standpoint, the high point was the release of the Magnus the Red model, because that Primarch model for 30k is absolutely amazing, and I stand by that. In terms of lore, there has been so much revelation this year and intrigue that I think what the 2017 has done is it's laid the foundations for 2018 to knock our socks off lore-wise. So I think probably the high point, again, would probably be something around 8th edition, and the fact that the rule set is in its place and GW is doing what it's doing. And on the downside, I can't dunk on Gathering Storm's lore the same way other people can, because as time goes on, I'm beginning to see, yeah, it was rushed, and it wasn't complete, but it did what it had to do.
I still maintain the fact that Gathering Storm 1 was actually not written that badly. It was the best written of the three, I feel. I mean, Bractra Biotarm was dreadful, let's be honest. It was the worst one, I thought, and Rise of the Primarch was just felt vastly incomplete.
Yeah. Actually, here's something that I was considering while I was recording today. Do you think that the pushback, the massive pushback that GW got for pushing Age of Sigmar's lore to the extreme in some way forced the writing team to change Gathering Storm to maybe be a bit less out there, and that's why it feels rushed?
Debatably.
I don't think it's the case, but it was something that crossed my mind.
But then again, how long ago was Age of Sigmar released in comparison to Gathering Storm?
Age of Sigmar was released, I think, in summer 2015, so they'd have had 18 months to fix it. But assuming that they're writing, let's say, 6 to 12 months ahead, divide that time by a factor of between 2 and 4.
It's debatable.
All right. Question for Alexis. Have you ever met the Mask? And if so, is she as much of a pretentious bitch as all the other demonettes say she is? She's not that bad. She taught me how to belly dance.
Did she say somebody stop me?
How
did people get that reference?
I'm going to move right on from it. Question. Would GW or Forge World ever make a 40k scaled model of an Imperator Titan? And if they did, how much would it cost in cash? Too much. And points? About 12,000. And would it be the most overpowered model ever made?
No, that'll be the 40k scale Planet Killer.
I don't think they'll ever make one.
No. If they did, it'll cost around £3,000.
Yeah.
So about $5,000.
Is it possible that some of the Primarchs will become renegades rather than loyal or fall to chaos?
No.
Would be interesting, though.
I don't think
it would be really interesting.
But
I don't think they'll do it.
Because it'll be interesting, it means they won't do it. Hey-oh.
Ha. No, I think that would be kind of cool. How do you guys think Korax would react to the Primaris Marines after he attempted to create the Raptors?
Hey, you fixed those bugs I couldn't get worked out.
Yeah, but I personally think it would be like that. He'd be like, oh, sweet, you did it. Good job.
Hey, how'd you get it so your Raptors don't have the spines coming out of their backs?
All right. When a new Space Marine chapter is formed, how do they decide who gets the chapter master and captains?
It will usually probably be, if it's a chapter being formed from the chapter, then it will be a captain from that chapter will be given command. It will be passed on to someone who's a higher ranking member of the parent chapter. If it's a chapter being founded from absolutely nothing, I don't know.
I think it's randomly assigned.
Give that man a chapter.
I think it's like, if it's made from scratch, it's like, okay, you're the very first one. You're chapter master.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be the most logical course of action for making a chapter from scratch. You're the first one made, you're in charge. Just do what you're told and pay your tithes.
Alright, so this question's a bit of a one. Well, it's going to have a long answer, is what I mean. If you could erase one legion's history and rewrite it, i.e. speciality, color scheme, ease, and erase and add gene flaws, etc., which would you do and what would you replace it with?
Let me guess, you're going to get rid of the Imperial Fist because you hate yellow.
No, the Imperial Fist are necessary. I would change their armor color, but they are necessary. I personally think all the legions are a really, really, really good start, and to get rid of any of them would be to get rid of something too big in 40k.
I think it would be asking a lot to just take a fundamental part of 10,000 years of history and then erase and rewrite, because every legion has its own rival. So most Primarchs are paired off with each other, Perturabo and Dawn, Rust and Magnus, Horus and Sanguinius, and so on and so forth. So taking one out means you then have to write in a new natural rival for that Primarch, and a legion whose style allows them to complement or counter that foe. So it is extremely difficult. Plus, if you think about different legions' specialities, pretty much every base is covered. And taking one out means you'd have to write in a legion that works in a very similar way. The most you could do is change somebody's personality or defining traits without changing their specialty and things like that. But then that still doesn't work either. So I think just because I can't think of anything better, and because I don't think really it's possible at this point, I would just leave the legions as they are.
Fair enough.
Or, you can just, get rid of and redo the entire history of the 2nd and 11th legions.
You know exactly how GW made them to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have no idea how to say this name, so I'm just going to post it here for you guys.
Okay.
How do I say that?
Narina.
Narina? Okay, that's what I thought. All right. I wasn't sure if there was an accent or something on it.
I would say nay rather than no, but yeah, whatever.
Question for Remlays. Is Acolyte Narina going to make an appearance in the Quest for Knowledge series?
She is.
All right. Neat.
Hopefully in the same episode Michael appears in.
Fairs.
Could it be possible for the Primaris Marines to be hybrid Marines with a normal Astartes and a Thunder Warrior? Okay, so they're asking, is it that the Primaris Marines are an Astartes Thunder Warrior crossover?
No.
It's Raptor 2.0.
Yeah, it literally is the Raptors.
We need more information, and I've said this before. I want a novel all about Call and how he developed the Primaris Marines and what challenges he faced, how he field tested, etc., etc., etc. But
Here's an idea. Keeping in that vein, but because Call's supposed to have been around for 10,000 years, they can make a story in the Horus Heresy series about Call with him working alongside the Emperor or something. And
he did work alongside the Emperor.
Yeah, I know. They can make that into a story. It's like, hey, guess what? This guy's been around for 10,000 years. Let's write him in the series that happened 10,000 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
True.
Let's write the fucker in.
It might be interesting that they might do that maybe as a sort of just once the Horus Heresy series is over, they might do a short little mini-series on the Great Scouring, and he'll be in that rather than being shoehorned into the heresy, because...
Well, during the Iron Cage stuff and that.
Yes, maybe there's a novel that focuses on the Iron Cage, there's a novel that focuses on Escrador, but maybe in the run-up to, you follow a novel that follows Guilliman and his sort of how he becomes Lord Commander and how he leads the Great Scouring, and maybe you include Escrador in that, or you take it up to the Battle on the Pride of the Emperor and Guilliman's death, quote-unquote, and you have Call feature in that, as that's when this whole thing sort of began. You get to see whether it was Guilliman's idea, whether it was Call's idea, to what extent it was each of their ideas, how much what they had to begin with, what they had to come up with on their own, and all of those sorts of things.
I just want to point out that his death on the Pride of the Emperor already got novelized in Dark Imperium.
True, but you might maybe make it run to Escrador, but I thought long term you might want to go from beginning to end. You'd have to go from arriving on Terra to Pride of the Emperor. You don't have to do Pride of the Emperor, you could stop at Escrador, but a Guilliman novel where Call features for a period while they get the Primaris set up is something I'd want to see. Yeah.
How about
Do you think Belisarius Call actually was on the right or wrong side of the Mars Rebellion?
Yeah, that too. I mean, to be fair, if he's still with the Mechanicus today, he probably either wasn't involved at all because he was on Terra or something, or he was on the good guy's side, because otherwise he'd have joined the Dark Mechanicum and fucked off.
Do you know what?
Could you imagine... Oh, sorry, Remlice, I keep cutting you off.
I was just going to say, what would be nice, following the Horus Heresy, just having something similar to the Primarch novel series, but just, the last days of the Primarchs. What happened to all the fucking Primarchs? What happened when they fucked off?
Yeah, because, Corax's is pretty well documented, and I don't think they'd want to do anything after.
Corax isn't really that documented. He went into his tower, cried for a year and a day, then came out, fled into the Arto, went nevermore, and that's it. Yeah,
but they're not going to go past that. I don't think they would ever go past that moment unless they wanted to canonically kill him.
No, but the thing is, what you could do is detail what he was feeling while he was locked away for over a year.
Yeah, you maybe start at where Deliverance lost or whatever picked up, with where it all goes to shit, and he's fighting to keep the Raven Guard going after the Alpha Legion attack, and then you maybe have him go to Terra, and you have the Codex Crisis, and you get to see all the different Primarchs' views on the Codex Crisis, and then you have Deliverance.
For all we know, that might actually be the very last novel in the Horus Heresy series, the Codex Astartes being drawn up.
That could be. But getting back to the call thing really quickly, just because this popped into my head. You know the schism on Mars, like during the Horus Heresy?
Yes.
Yeah.
What if during that time Belisarius Cawl actually discovered the information to make a Space Marine?
He worked to the Black Carapace with the Emperor and then had his mind wiped. So,
And all the information was locked in that vault in the mountains on Terra. That Korax had to navigate a shit ton of traps and navigating twisting passages that kept rotating on a whim just to get that information. All the information was there. All the documentation was there. All the instructions were there. And the genetic material was there.
yeah, because we still don't know how and where Cawl got the Sang Primus Portum, I don't believe.
Could you imagine if they just did that? Like, they just showed you, or had Korax before he left hand the notes to freaking, or just tell him to call.
It'll be like, this is what I want. I just want to know how Cawl got involved in this project and why and what he did along the way. That's what I want, and that will hopefully quiet off a lot of the Primaris hate that isn't around how they're being used today. I want their origin story at least explored and explained.
I'm okay with that.
They could even call that story Better Call Cawl.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Get out. Anyway, back to the questions. What would Vulcan's opinion be on the Primaris Marines and the current state of the Imperium?
I want to poop and snoot.
Then it goes on to, like, a little bit beyond that, but this is the main point of the question.
Yeah, Vulcan would just be like, oh, for God's sake, I've gone away I died again, and now I'm back, and it's still shit. Same shit, different enemy.
He sees the Primaris...
What is this creature? That's a Primaris Marine. I want to boop this creature.
Stop it.
I thought it was going to be like, he'd see a Primaris...
boop.
I thought it would be more like he'll see a Primaris Marine and go, my, you boys have grown big.
He gives them a hug. Oh, you guys grew up. It gives you a hug.
All our Primaris are now dead.
Alright, let's move on. We're making Michael feel awkward.
Oh, his little organ is just a bit ridiculous.
Alright, we'll stop talking about Daddy Vulcan.
Big Daddy Vulcan.
Stop it.
Sorry. Alrighty.
Can you imagine Vulcan's reaction upon seeing a Tau?
What is this tiny creature? What is that thing on his head? I want to put something in it.
Stop it.
I suppose, is that actually their nose, Michael? In that cavity on their face?
I believe it is not.
I thought it was a sensory organ. Like, to actually, like, detect movement and different heat signatures, like a snake.
I mean, I'm not an expert on Tau biology. I'm pretty sure it's not their nose.
God damn it, you freaking Earthcast.
I was thinking if that was their nostrils, that'd be a bit weird if they had a bit of a runny nose, just sort of goose seeping down their forehead.
Stop. Next question.
It'd be worse for the females with the Y-shaped one.
Next question.
Going into their eyes and everything.
What if they sneezed? Could you make milk run out their nose?
Oh, fuck.
I have a funny feeling this is going to be featured in one of those animated segments.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
I feel sorry for the animators if they decide to animate this segment. I really do.
Sorry, Andre.
Oh my god. Okay, bringing up the point you made on episode 33. What would happen if the Emperor were to tell the truth about chaos to the Primarchs?
Shit hit the fan hard.
What would their reaction be? I feel like Angron would still have a stiffy for Khorne and probably be blah blah blah. Like, it goes on a little bit more.
Well, Angron didn't have a stiffy for Khorne. It was all Lorgar's fault.
Yeah, like basically Lorgar just falls immediately. Lorgar's gone at that point.
Lorgar's like, I knew it! Gods are real!
Yeah, and I think the problem is the Emperor would have had to tell the Primarchs as he found them, because if he let's say waited until Eleanor is dead, right guys, I've got you all together in one place. Let's have a chat. If you waited that long, especially if you've been using this whole no gods, no masters, imperial truth, no religion, for decades at this point, to then say, guys, there's actually gods, and they're really bad.
What if he explained it the way Fabius Bile explains it? Like, they're powerful warp entities that call themselves gods.
Well, yeah, he could do that too. But I think if he didn't start, if his opening line, if someone was like, what are these people talking about with these cults? Because psychics were popping up all over the place and chaos was becoming more and more prevalent as the Imperium pushed outwards from Sol. So he'd have had to explain that in some way. And I do think that if he had done so, well, Mortarion might have been a bit of an issue. Magnus would have been really interesting. It's like would Magnus start questioning his interactions and be saying, well, was I actually talking to the Emperor? Or is that what allowed me to cure the flesh change? And it would be really interesting how Magnus took it. I think it would be interesting, and I do think that I know why the Emperor didn't talk about it. I think it had a very high risk of backfiring. But
he was also in a race to try to beat them.
And
like, let's not kid ourselves. The Primarchs weren't finished when he sent them, when they were captured and sent out, and then when he got them back, they were all defective, and he was just like, damn it. Whatever, let's do what we can. We only have a short window.
I wouldn't have called all of them defective, just most of them.
None of them are perfect.
All right.
Well, apart from Guilliman.
I'm going to correct you there. Fulgrim is perfect.
He was an egotistical little prima donna.
I don't see a problem there.
Who went to a party, someone tried to poison him and went, oh, this party's ruined!
I still don't see a problem.
That's canon, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
I know, it's great.
From the novel Palatine Phoenix, in case anyone's wondering. The same novel which has, yes, you guessed it, the Space Marine at the buffet table with a tiny little plate.
That was actually one of the questions later on. All right, getting back to the questions. Question for Remlays. How would I go about making your Mechanicus priest with a dinosaur head? I was thinking about using Call's body. I actually want to answer this because I did actually make you out of Belisarius Call.
You didn't?
I have an entire video on it.
So there you go. Just go and look that up.
Yeah, you could just find it on my channel.
Though I was actually debating about making my own version of the model, but not actually using Belisarius Call as a base. I was thinking of using a different character entirely. Let's try to find who it is quickly. Yes, it was actually using the Titan Tech Priest from Forge World as a base.
Fair enough.
The reason I chose Call over like a regular Tech Priest for you, Remlays, was because I wanted it to be distinguished. Because I'm going to be using a special Demon Prince for my character, and an XV, a Cold Star for Michael's when I make him.
Okay.
So the reason I chose Call is because I didn't want you to appear as that tiny guy who's insignificant compared to a Demon Prince in a giant battle suit.
That's fair enough. You just stick me on the same
Cold
base.
Star's not that big, but yeah.
Well, compared to an average Tech Priest, it's pretty big.
True.
But I was thinking about, like, Remlays' character actually has, like, two types. Like, you see Remlays normally, and then you see Remlays in battle attire, and that's what the Belisarius Call model represents. It's him going, right then, I have to actually lead a fight. Annoying. Let's just get it over with.
The problem is you'd need...
Personally, I like to think if I was leading a fight, I'd be kind of plugged into a Vorax battle automata. Because Vorax is fucking awesome.
Also Inquisitor.
Yes.
Yep.
Just as a point. But yes, anyway, yeah.
Okay. Does the Imperium still have Does the Imperium still use the Christianic Year Zero? No, they don't. They actually, they had this, I read this in a book, they have a huge civil war about this because, not a huge civil war, but they have a civil war about this because they're not sure when the actual imperial dating system started.
But they still technically use it because the M system, like M2, is it's like, the 20th century, essentially.
But according to like them, it's based off of an ancient dating system, but not. It is based off of it, but they kind of go around and say, "Nuh-uh," but it is.
But technically, they use it, even if they don't realize it. But they technically use it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like how they see monkeys and think that the tail is a stinger.
Even though some members of the Imperium already know what monkeys are, which is bizarre.
Yep.
Funny enough,
don't insult Arkan Lan.
Funnily enough, there are some worlds that still have alpacas.
Yep. And some worlds that the Rough Riders ride dinosaurs.
Yeah, but that's just awesome, though.
I know it is. Actually, that brings me to a point. It brings you to a point.
We
got into this. Well, yes. I got into an argument with somebody who was saying that Thunderwolf Cavalry are the most useless thing in 40k. And he was like, well, look at the Landspeeder and look at the bike. They do the exact same thing. And I'm like, except when you get thrown from your bike or Landspeeder, it doesn't proceed to just run up and kill whatever just tried to hit you.
Well, I could run them over and crash into them.
Yeah, but it doesn't actively hunt them down and kill them.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue Machine Spirit. Because don't forget, there was that one Land Raider that had all its crew slaughtered and still end up killing everything.
Yes, that is true. But at the same point, this thing doesn't need a Machine Spirit. It
has an animal spirit. It has the animal spirit. It has power of earth, fire, wind, water, and heart. Go planet. By all powers combined, I am Captain Planetfall.
He's still going, Michael.
I know.
Just
I can carry on singing it if you want. Yeah, how he's going to take heresy down to 0,
Question for Remblaze. How old are you? Wow, okay, this question's worded really, really weirdly. How old are you? Do loyalists... I'm going to skip it. This question's a little written too...
How old do loyalists...
the question is literally written. Question, 40k theories. How old are you, do loyalist world bearers? I think it's, how old are you? And then another question is, do loyalists no, it just ends there. Sorry, I'm going to skip that question.
Okay.
All right. Questions. Funny. Is there a 40k meme that has a special place in your heart? Not really.
Chirp your crickets.
I got nothing.
In fairness, there was that one I am partially fond of. That one with the Imperator Titan. Is it the Imperator? The Titan coming out the swimming pool saying "Pool's closed due to tactical genius."
That's a Reaver class Titan.
Reaver, that's it. Yeah, that one's always a favourite of mine, just because how upset it is.
I suppose drive me closer. I want to hit them with my sword is kind of amusing, but they're all just overused at this point. So I'm
that's actually canon as well. That line.
Yep.
I'm not even shocked. I'm not.
All right. Game-related question: the Fantasy Flights RPGs. What would you play? I think that's pretty much a given for me since I play it on my channel. Especially given the options for Black Crusades or Rogue Trader.
Funnily enough, in the new year, I do actually want to start a Black Crusade campaign. I've talked to a few people about it. The only person who's definitely on board with it so far is Fresh.
Oh, but you don't include me. I see how it is.
You've got your own campaign.
That is true, and I am starting up the new RP once it comes out, so I will be really busy on that.
Yeah.
And Michael's just not included.
Well, to be fair, I've got a degree to do. I am rather busy, so I'm okay with not being included.
Make us feel guilty, why don't you?
No, generally, I've got friends at home who are thinking doing D&D and invited me to get involved with that. I'm just like, I don't know if I can commit to that. I'm just busy as fuck.
Fair enough.
All right. Note to self: Michael has commitment issues.
Yes, I've uploaded 2 videos a week for 24 months pretty much straight. Yeah, let's talk about commitment, shall we?
Yeah, you have commitment issues, Michael. It's okay. This is why you didn't stay with the Tau. I'm done. I'm sorry. That was bad. That was bad even by my standards. Anyway, back to the question. Gullah fields, hexagrammic wards, and who knows how many variants of tech heresy. If humanity can make technology that affects the warp, why haven't they expanded on it?
Because STCs go missing.
It's also very, very difficult to make new technology because of the curse that's affecting Mars, where if you put new information in it, it deletes something that already exists in it, which is why they need the STCs, because they can make those without putting them into the system.
Plus, innovation gets you treated as a heretic, which means, hey, you made some innovation. Kill him!
Unless it's accepted by the machine spirits.
Or your Belisarius call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I found it quite funny. Speaking of machine spirits, do you know why Deathwatch armor isn't entirely black?
To not offend the machine spirit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you just stop and think about it, is there a single Space Marine army whose armor is entirely black? Even the Raven Guard and Black Templars have white shoulder pads.
There is.
Yeah, even the Sisters of Battle won't change
Black
their
Dragons.
armor.
Black Dragons.
Highlighted silver. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It's just something I'd never heard it said that painting a suit of power armor black.
Black shields.
Black shields still bear the silver.
And to be fair, the black shields were kind of they were sort of dishonoring their sort of dishonor anyway, because they'd abandoned their legions. So I sort of get it.
And some of them are traitors.
Details.
And some of them are actually just blood angels, even though the Space Wolf friend says, hey, did you become a black shield because you were a Rainbow Warrior? The Rainbow Warriors are fine successors of the Ultramarines. Yeah, but their name, though. That's canon.
That is canon.
Fairs.
Weaponizing Gullah fields and weaponized Gullah fields, reality stabilizers, effective anti-demon tech.
What?
I could see that. If you can weaponize a Gullah field, if you could put a Gullah field inside a grenade or something, you could effectively make it so the demon can't even enter an area.
Well, isn't that just like the distilled essence of a blank do?
Yeah.
Because you got null grenades, haven't you? So you just throw that, bang. Or you just inject.
Yeah, they're just really tough to make.
Or just inject that into your troops. It's there you go, demons can't touch them, they're full of blank juice.
Alright, there's a question asking us about Death Clock. I haven't watched it in a bit. They're asking us, who would be who out of the Chaos Gods and whatever, and I to be honest, I can't really...
Well, Khorne would be Nathan Explosion. Just because.
I don't think Khorne would be Nathan Explosion. I think Nathan would actually be the Emperor.
Well, he's not Chaos. We're talking about the Chaos Gods, though, aren't we?
I stand by what I said.
Squizgar would be Slanesh, because Squizgar ends up fucking pretty much everything.
Yep, and the drugs and everything.
Yeah. No, Pickles is the drugs.
Pickles would be Nurgle.
I would say Murderface would be more Nurgle just because he's a bit more disgusting. He's got a whole bunch of calluses all over his body, so... And plus he's fat.
Alright.
Toki would be Malice, just because. It's adorable.
Toki is pretty funny. I like Toki.
Yeah. Which, by default, will kind of leave, in my view, Pickles as being Tzeentch.
Yeah, I can see that. Alright, let's move on from that. Question for... Oh, that was the same question. God damn it. Would orcs fighting Ultramarines just have their bullets bounce off of the Ultramarines since they're blue? No.
No.
They don't believe it's lucky for Ultramarines just for themselves, the colour blue.
Yep. going back to the pink grenade and all the orcs dying. Question for Michael. Are you going to double your 30k Thousand Suns as a stand-in Chaos Thousand Sun Codex Marines?
No.
Really? I did that.
No, I don't like Traitor Thousand Suns. Like, I like the idea of Rubric Marines and the idea of a very powerful psychic army. Yeah, I do. But to me, the Thousand Suns and their story works because they were loyal, and I couldn't play the Thousand Suns as traitors as much as I like the idea. Plus, at the same time, like, all the resources they have available to them, I couldn't recreate with a 30k army. Like, I couldn't recreate the idea of discs or whatever else. And I don't particularly like Demon Magnus as a model or as a rule set to play. So I'm quite happy keeping my 30k army for 30k and my 40k armies for 40k.
Well, you can always
hate Magnus.
You can always use your 30k army to, as Blood Ravens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can play them as 40k Marines, who are just old school armor, who have a few librarians, and admittedly there are no rules for like Legion jet bikes or the things.
Not yet. Those are coming.
Just use count as rule.
Yeah, just count them as bikes, like I do with my jet bikes.
Yeah, true. But it's something that I might consider doing as a Space Marine army, but not as actual Traitor Thousand Suns Legion. No.
Oh, wow. Here's a question that we actually answered prior. But going in order, question for Alexis. What Xeno species do you think is next? Necron, Tau, or Orcs? It's probably going to go Orcs. I can almost guarantee it's going to be Orcs.
Yeah, I'd say Orcs.
I think Tau are going to be summer, and Necrons are going to be late December of next year. Summer is
Slanesh.
Yeah, I could see them throwing Tau in there with them.
And everyone forgets about the Drukhari.
Ding.
Question for Remlays. If this is a stretch, the Night Lords had stayed loyal, what sort of role do you think that they would have in the modern Imperium? And we answered that.
We did indeed.
Yes, we did.
Oh yeah, so that's cool. Question. Hey guys, I hope you're good. I am. I'm always good. I was wondering. What?
There was one for you, and there was one.
Yours was the 30k Thousand Suns count as.
Oh, I didn't realize that they were all one person. Sorry, my bad.
Yep. I was wondering if in the lore, chains and power weapons are able to damage vehicles. Yes.
Yeah, not protect as well as a chain fist or a power fist, but yes.
No, a chain axe is like literally devastating in the RPG games, which try to build their rules around the actual 40k setting. So I would say yes. I know like the chain sword and everything is funny, but it would destroy almost everything. If its chain stays functional and doesn't break, of course.
Yeah, there's a few caveats.
Next question.
If a Primaris wears a bone cloak, they are Deathwing members or not? I know that not all Deathwing members wear Terminator armor. No, technically I thought
the entirety of the Deathwing wore Terminator armor. That's what made them unique compared to the other first companies of the other chapters, because all the Deathwing wear Terminator armor.
That is true. But the Deathwing are also vets, so they can take off their Terminator armor and wear their veteran armor and go into battle as veterans.
Yeah, effectively the condition for joining the Deathwing is being a member of the Inner Circle, the same as all captains and higher ranking members of the chapter are. If they take to the field as the Deathwing, then they will wear that bone white Terminator armor. That goes without saying. But a lot of captains who will wear Terminator or will serve in the Deathwing when they wear the Terminator armor, but if they go to battle in power armor, they're just a member of the Inner Circle and will have green power armor as opposed to white.
Yep.
Funny enough, I actually remember an issue of White Dwarf. This was back during 2nd edition. Do you know how they would showcase staff members' armies from different stores?
Yep.
There was this one guy who did a Dark Angels army, but for his Azrael, Azrael, Ezekiel, and
Belial?
No, it wasn't.
Samael?
No, it was Asmodai. This is before Samael even got a model, or is even in the lore. He painted all their armour bone colour because of them technically all being Deathwing, and just painted their robes like green for Azrael, blue for Ezekiel, black for Asmodai.
I mean, it's valid. I mean, they're allowed to do it. It's just the Terminator armor is always white, and power armor, unless it's Ravenwing, is always green by tradition. Doesn't mean they can't change it.
Question, Michael, you're going to like this one. Canonically, is there any practical way for the Tau to get beyond the Damocles Gulf to places like the Segmentum Obscurus and the like?
It's called the XFR Horizon Accelerator Engine. That's what they used to get across the Gulf in the first place.
With most of them sleeping.
There is another way as well. They can jump on board one of the Demiurge or Kroot ships, which are capable of warp travel. So, I mean, rogue traders have run into Tau. Tau have made it beyond that, and Tau have traveled through the warp. Not by their own accord. Yeah.
The Force
that was Great Rift shenanigans.
I know, but
yes.
Does that mean they're technically the first Tau to make canonical warp travel?
I wouldn't call it travel, but yes.
Well, they travel from the eastern fringes to Baal. I think that counts.
Remlace, let's not. There's the theory that you had that Necromunda was actually visited by the Tau, which would mean that they were the first.
Technically, it wasn't that they were visited by it. It's just they got their tech from the Tau, which means they could.
Yeah, so it could have been. Which could have been just that traded for it.
Exactly. He might even have an Earth cast as part of his retinue making the fucking things.
That's true.
Stranger things happen.
I'm just imagining a freaking Jakaro and Tau just sitting there like building, and the Jakaro is just like, "You suck. What are you building? That looks like shit." And the Jakaro is like building like an amazing laser, and the Tau is just like, "I'm being outclassed by a monkey. I know how the Eldar feel."
Although to be fair, what the Jakaro, yes, the Jakaro would have in some way, it's a weaponsmith. It's in its name, it's a weaponsmith. So sure, a Jakaro can build a better gun, but could a Jakaro build a better engine?
They can build a spacecraft.
Yes, they can.
A Jakaro can build a spacecraft out of nothing but a shoe, some sticky tape, and some chewing gum.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Jakaro are basically MacGyver.
I'll shut up.
The Jakaro are just basically fuzzy mech boys.
Jokes aside, Jakaro are heavily included in inquisitorial retinues because they can enhance the armor so much.
Which is fun, which is quite funny. It's like, purge the alien. Except you.
Well, I mean, it is kind of an orangutan-ish, so they probably give it some exceptions because of like the amount of DNA we share between each other, but not the Eldar. Even though we can breed with them.
Yeah, exactly.
But shut up, we don't talk about that.
I think you're closer linked to an Eldar when you can fuck an Eldar and have viable offspring than trying to fuck a monkey.
That's how you get AIDS.
And we're moving on.
Does that mean if someone has sex with Jakaro, they get space AIDS?
I know people accuse me of being a killjoy, but let's move the fuck on, please.
Can the Jakaro improve AIDS?
I'm done.
Calm down. Calm down. All right. If somehow the real Omnissiah, aka the Void Dragon, were to wake up, would the Mechanicum follow it? Would the Mechanical follow it, causing another civil war? Yes.
Well, some of them would. Some of them would view the Emperor still being the Omnissiah.
Yeah, there would be a second skill.
Let me finish the question, please. And would this affect every machine spirit from Titan to Cyberdong?
No.
I would say no, because the actual machine spirit is a piece of brain that's kept in every single bit of technology. And it fires a neuron. It actually thinks.
Yep.
That's kind of disgustingly awesome, by the way.
Which is funny considering the fact the Vengeful Spirits machine... The Vengeful Spirits machine spirit is literally just a naked woman in a jar.
Aw, his poor sister.
Kaon's sister, not Abaddon's sister.
Yeah, Kaon's sister is the machine spirit of the Vengeful Spirit. And the Vengeful Spirit did get destroyed, so... That's kind of sad. Wow, that got really depressing really fast. I'm sorry.
And the Vengeful Spirit came back about 2 weeks later, so I'm back!
Yeah, basically Primarch flagships are a fucking plot device. The McCragg's Honor's just as bad.
So it disappeared in the warp, never to return. Meanwhile, it's hovering over McCragg's. Hang on a fucking minute.
Yeah, Marius...
What if they just built another one? Like, in 10,000 years, they just build another one. And it was like, whatever.
So
Yes,
Just
because
put a 2 next to it.
we
when
stole
was
it
the
from
last
Lorgar.
When was the last time anyone built a Gloriana-class battleship?
Well, if you go by the lore of Battlefield Gothic, they can build them.
Yeah, but doesn't it take, like, the mineral wealth of an entire planet to build one?
Something like that.
It does, but when you consider 1 million worlds and the fact that there are thousands of the ships...
Yeah, but also bear in the fact that, you know, you kind of have to build these things in orbit, and it's like, it's probably easier to keep it in orbit of the particular world you're shipping the materials from, rather, okay, we got half built, we drained this world, let's tow it to the next world.
Yeah,
well, no,
also,
they can actually warp travel with it.
Also, why would the
If it's installed.
Ultramarines be commissioning a new Primarch flagship and then not use it?
It just got finished, Michael. Duh.
It took 10,000 years to build one ship. That's slow and lazy. They need to be whipped into shape.
Okay, look. Marinus Colgar ordered it with heated seats and a cup holder. They had to find the STCs for that. All right, I'm done. I'll stop now. Question: if you could create rules for each of your online 40k personas, what special rules would each of them have? And Remley specifically, would he have used the universal keyword restrictions that apply to tech priests repairing vehicles, or would it be an inquisitorial open that up a bit? Personally, I think Remlays would just have by order of the Inquisition and be able to repair any vehicle like Belisarius Call can.
Have both. Why not both? I was going to say, why not both?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going with.
The thing is, as far as the avatar I use in like the podcast art and all that stuff, it's Commander Farsight, so fine. But in terms of my lore character, it's a Psyker Earthcast Tau with a Earthcast battlesuit that has, a Cold Star battlesuit that has no guns, a stealth field, and a universal translator.
To be honest, Michael, your Tau battlesuit is completely useless on the battlefield.
I'm aware of that.
He's a scientist, damn it.
Yeah, that's the exact reason.
That's why. I mean, my character did canonically fight, but at that point I had a gun. It got broken when I got shot down.
I'm just imagining you just have a bunch of drones with you as well.
I think I might have one in Quest Village. There might be one. I don't generally carry loads because, well, I'm quite good at data storage.
Well, you also have a craft world, so that, hey, let's try and reactivate all these Wraith constructs somehow.
I found the Wraith constructs and thought, you know what? They're not working. Let's keep it that way because I don't want to die.
Also, I do like that you fly around in a craft world, and my character's backstory is that she killed a craft world.
Yeah, I mean, my character hypothesized, it was probably just Tyranids or something, considering like there's no life signs.
Yeah, I overloaded the Infinity Circuit on board and killed everybody.
And because it will be out by the time this comes out, my character's knowledge is actually technically now tied into the TTS, TTS has now canonized it. Yes, so Quest for Knowledge isn't the same universe as TTS, it's just a more serious side of it. Go figure.
So Magnus, I can kill him.
Well, he has got a restraining order on you.
Damn it! No, but jokes aside, for my character, it would be she would have the ability to cast 2 psychic powers per turn, Demon Prince status. So Demon Prince stat line, probably a good amount of attacks, but at a costly weapon skill. My weapon skill would not be as good as other demon princes because my character is not an actual combat expert. It's more of a manipulator and deceiver. And I know how that sounds, but I am Slanesh. That's the whole thing of my character. She also carries a Book of Magnus on her back.
It's a fucking course.
Well, yeah. How else is she supposed to remember him?
I thought you had a purity seal stuck to your back.
That too, you dick. My sword has the ability to devour other demons, so if I'm used to fight another demon, I would gain an ability that demon has. I would have the fly keyword, and I'd have a bit of mental instability. I would attack my own allies.
Yeah, I think if I was to actually canonize my guy into rules, it would be very bad weapon skill, like probably hitting on sixes because Earthcast are even worse than Firecast. Decent shot because I did go through training to order to use the Cold Star. Decent strength because it's a battle suit. Decent toughness because it's a battle suit. Decent wound count because, well, again, it's a battle suit. Not particularly agile despite being a battle suit pilot. Low number of combat attacks. Very high leadership. And it would mainly rely on not getting hit. So psychic powers, my discipline is telekinesis. So that pretty much explains itself. Probably just level 1. Probably it's got a shield generator, so invulnerable save, and then the stealth field would work in the same way as the stealth suit, so a -1 or -2 to hit modifier, depending on what was fair. Fly keyword, probably maybe just one gun, like a burst cannon or a missile pod, nothing particularly special. And with the linguistics unit, it might be a case of probably there's no such thing as charisma checks, so I can't really work around having good charisma. It may be where you could use it as a tactical thing, is that I can interpret the tactics of my enemies and relay them back, which might give me a counter tactics, like you might hit the Storm Lord.
I'm actually thinking units within 6 inches of you can ignore the character keyword.
No, I don't think I'd go with that. But anyway.
Well, you would know what the characters are. You'd be like, holy crap, I know who that is.
Yeah, why would that allow?
And the main psychic power of my character would be a type of mind control.
So telepathy then?
Yeah, and smite.
Of course, because basically
smite.
Everyone knows that.
It'd be warp speed, mind control, and smiting.
Best. But yeah, there you go. That was a very in-depth answer and some interesting lore tie-ins.
Indeed.
Yeah. Holy crap, this is a long one.
Oh, God.
Is it good? Let me...
It's not by some certain first and unique commenter, is it?
I'm gonna go ahead and skip that one. It's too long, and we're already 2 hours in. Just about. All right, what is your favorite Xenos character and why?
Farsight because, well, it's dead obvious, and Wazdaka because, well, it's even more dead obvious.
Because he beat up a Titan by himself.
While on fire.
How metal.
Quite.
Fun enough, one of my favourite Xenos characters is actually Cassie, the Chikero from Pandorox. He's fucking awesome. No, seriously, if you read that novel, he is fucking awesome. It's
been a while since I've read it. I can't really remember.
They found a broken down Hellhammer tank and he managed to fix it. I have to
go with your brain.
Sailor Moon.
I like her. She got the booty.
No, Gilliman got the booty.
Question. My friends are making their own headcanon to the point of the Tau Empire is 5 times bigger and the Imperium is like 3 times smaller. Okay, they're wrong. All right, that wouldn't happen.
Unlikely.
Yeah, and is making new rules for custom characters and stop it. Don't make new rules. Use existing characters and do rules based off of them.
If you want a headcanon, that's one thing, but yeah, don't enforce it.
Like, the one thing that I do is I bring Garrow instead of Gilliman, and I use Gilliman's entire stat line and everything, but I just use Garrow's model, because my chapter is, Sons of Garrow, or the Desk Raiders.
So when are you getting Mortarion for your Death Guard army?
I kind of do want the classic one, not gonna lie.
Well, the Forge World one.
Yeah.
Or by classic, do you mean the epic model?
I do want the epic model, not going to lie about that either. I think that is really adorable.
Not as adorable as the Magnus one with the upside down.
Oh my god, it's so cute!
With the upside down tattoo in his armpit.
Why is the Nightbringer design one of the worst descriptions of the Grim Reaper? This Nightbringer's design is one of the worst descriptions of the Grim Reaper.
Does he mean depictions?
No? Well, I think they do, but I think the Nightbringer being the Grim Reaper is actually perfectly adequate, because when the Nightbringer finally shattered, it was at the birth of not the Imperium, but I forget what age of humanity was there.
It was the birth of the Chaos Gods when the Nightbringer shattered. No. Yes, no? Was it the death of the Nightbringer?
No, I think it was a bit later than that, because the
laws kind of
the Necrons
fussy in that regard, because a lot of the Nightbringer's early lore came from 3rd edition Necron Codex, which got completely retconned with the later Codex.
Yeah.
Alright, so I want to say that the reason that he is the Grim Reaper is because he was the Grim Reaper prior to everything else, and when he died or shattered, it put the idea of the Grim Reaper in every single person's head around the galaxy, except for the races that weren't scared of him, i.e. the Orcs.
Wasn't it because Gork and Mork beat the shit out of him?
Originally, yes. They were the ones that actually caused the Nightbringer and Deceiver to shatter, but they retconned that to be the Necrons that actually defeated them and imprisoned them.
Yeah.
Which makes less sense, and somehow they lost all their technology, and 5th edition lore was so bad.
It's a shame, because that kind of gave, Gork and Mork something to do. Because all they've really done is, Gork and Mork, they fight each other, and that's all it's been since 2nd edition. Then 3rd edition Necron Codex comes along, hey, let's beat up that guy! So they beat him up. And then he said, no, you didn't beat him up. Oh, alright. Well, we're going to sit here and play Gork and Mork now. You can't join us. I'm going to play Morkers. I'll play Gorkers. I'll be Rebel Grotch. Shut up, Bork. You don't even exist. You're not canon.
Are there incendiary grenades in Warhammer in 40k? Yes, there are.
Yes.
You can actually use them in the RPG games. They would be hard to represent on the actual battlefield instead of just frag and crack grenades, because those are more commonly used. Although it would be cool to see Sisters of Battle get some type of incendiary grenade.
If Soul Blades was still a rule, it could work.
Yeah. Question. I know this sounds highly unlikely, but do you think the Silver Knight of Slaanesh could actually be the soul of Ferrus Manus?
No.
Just no.
I find that borderline impossible.
Considering the fact, that Manus' armor was black.
I think it's more likely that it was Nathaniel Garrow than Ferrus Manus.
I think it's more likely at this point to be Lehman Russ.
Yeah. Question. Since the White Scars and the Space Wolves are based off of historical army Mongols and Vikings, what historical armies would you like to see represented in 40k? I personally would like to see the Zulu formed from the Salamanders. I actually really like that, because that's what I would go for, because I want Power Kapingas. And the Equa Spear would be awesome in 40k.
Just imagine a bunch of Salamanders throwing those penis knives at people.
God, that's an old reference. That was like episode 6 or 7 we discussed those.
Yes.
I still want to see Aztec Marines.
The Rainbow Warriors exist.
Yeah, but they're not Aztec, though.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Though. That's not canon. That's fanon.
Your face is canon. I don't know where I'm going with this.
To be fair, there are cultural references scattered across the Space Marines. I mean, Rome.
Yeah, let's get some Roman Marines. Oh, they exist.
The Maori. We've got a Kakarodon, says the Maori.
Arthurian legend with the Dark Angels. Someone actually made a reference to that when they were commenting on my Dark Angels video quite recently. Someone said it's like Arthurian myth.
The Greeks with the Minotaurs.
Yeah, you've got the Greeks. The Egyptians with the Thousand Suns. There's references for days.
Yep.
You really don't have anything for Japanese culture, though.
Emperor Shadows.
Fair enough.
I feel incredibly uneducated right now.
Question for all. What do you think of the new paint guy on Warhammer 40k TV?
His name is
Duncan's
Prestige.
Disciple is amazing.
His name is Prestige.
Yeah, I like the new Jesus. He's awesome.
I've not actually watched any of the stuff, I'll be honest.
I don't watch it either.
I haven't watched
good.
any Warhammer TV stuff in ages, to be brutally honest, apart from the trailer for the new Dark Angels and Blood Angels codices. But that's about
Yeah.
it.
Which of the four Chaos Gods would be able to influence Tyranids? I know
Malice.
Nurgle has the Rot Infestation, but I mean directly influence. Ooh, that's a good one.
Zinch.
I think Zinch would be able to trick a Norn Queen.
Well, the most of all, if you consider the fact that the Warfield can interrupt the hive mind and there's synaptic links between them, or so it means some, or more actually, the Shadow and the Warp can fuck with the Warfield. If the Tyranids can fuck with Warp Shenanigans, then Warp Shenanigans can fuck with the Tyranids. And the most fucky of all the fuckers with the Warp Shenanigans is Zinch.
That was a lot of fuck.
I know, that's the most
Well,
I've ever
don't forget as well, Gene Stealer Chaos Cults are a thing.
And
Gene Stealer Chaos Cults are a thing. We now know that Gene Stealers can become avatars of Cain.
Yes, Gene Stealer Oracles and all that as well.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's a thing. Tyranids are actually... They might start being weaponized by the Chaos Gods soon.
Considering the fact that they're fighting back by weaponizing against Chaos specifically with High Freak Kronos.
You know what would actually be a really cool story? If Zinch planted doubt into a Swarm Lord who then overthrew the Norn Queen.
But then
Well, to be fair,
again,
actually-
how do you implant doubt into something whose will is being driven by the Norn Queen?
The Swarm Lord actually has free thought.
We've had this debate a long time ago. We talked about the idea of the Swarm Lord being a separate entity that is maybe destroyed to stop it challenging the Norn Queen because it's so intelligent. We had that debate like best part of a year ago.
Yes, but now we're actually starting to see, like, Chaos can fight Tyranids. Tyranids have adapted to fight Chaos. We're starting to see more lore being fleshed out about the Tyranids. So it really does bring into question, could the Tyranids be affected by doubt? Could Zinch, of all people, actually plant doubt or free will into something's head?
A Gene Stealer Patriarch, yes, I can see that. But in regards to a Hive Tyrant or anything like that, I don't see it.
I think it would have to have very specific targets, like a Norn Queen, a Gene Stealer Patriarch, a Swarm Lord, perhaps. It would need very specific targets and to be very, very focused on the job to the point that he needs to take his eye off the rest of the great game just to make it happen. But it's not outside the realms of possibility. I'll say that.
Or you could have something along the lines of a demon-possessed Swarm Lord.
Which would be cool.
Yeah. That's way more likely, by the way.
The Dagon,
possession.
the Dagon Overlord of Khorne. How about that?
That'd be terrifying.
Just that.
With the Dark Angel Codex having rules and bonuses against the Fallen, do you think that they're hinting at a Codex Heretic Astartes, the Fallen with Luther becoming models as part of the Codex release? Yes.
The fact that
Well, Dark Angels always had, from what I recall, always had special rules against the Fallen, because in the second edition Chaos Codex, where they brought in Cypher and the Fallen Angels as actual units, it had special rules like any Dark Angels, if you're fighting against Dark Angels, they then get the special rule for hatred against Cypher and the Fallen. And that Ravenwing and Deathwing have to charge them if they're within charge range.
Yep.
So there's a precedent. I think I would have said no, that they wouldn't actually make a full Fallen Codex if it weren't for Luther's escape. Luther
Well, no,
escaping-
they're just saying Heretic Astartes, so that can some of the other armies, of course.
Yeah, I agree. But
the Index is already a thing.
Yeah, but like because Chaos Space Marines already have their codex, the only way they'd be able to do it is either to completely retcon the Chaos Codex, or
Campaign.
to have a new Fallen book that is standalone. Pretty much, because I don't think they're going to want to do what they did with 7th edition, where armies were introduced in campaign books as addendums to a codex, because that just gets convoluted and messy. So
I still think they're going to do a campaign for the Hunt of the Fallen, just because if Lion is going to get a model, then considering the Dark Angel's Codex is out, where are you going to put his rules?
I agree. I do agree with that. And Lion being a standalone thing because he's a Primarch, and that's kind of unique again. But I wouldn't have said we're going to see a Fallen Codex.
No.
Or Fallen in a Codex without having Cypher and now having Luther.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Luther escaping from the Rock? We already talked about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And could the Inner Circle use this as ammunition against their own Primaris Marines?
We'll have to wait for War of Secrets.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the thing is, the fact that if the Dark Angels and the Inner Circle use Luther's escape against the Primaris Marines, that means they have to tell the Primaris Marines about Luther.
And in turn about the Fallen.
Exactly.
And
they
what happened on
don't do
Caliban?
that.
Nothing happened on Caliban. Blam.
And they don't do that. So I doubt it.
Like with that one Inquisitor. Hey, so what happened in Caliban? Oh, nothing. Can you just stand over there, blow up the ship? Pfft. That was canon, by the way.
I'm sure it was.
And then the Black Templars went, why did you blow up his ship? He was a traitor. He needed to die.
There's another question about why we don't like Arch. I think that's self-explanatory. Anyway.
Or if it isn't, we're not answering it.
Yeah. Question for Remlays. Can an M42 Eldar fall to Chaos?
Yes, this did happen. We had
Crone Worlds still exist.
Yeah.
And also, in the Soul Drinkers novels, a Dark Eldar was allied with a Chaos Cult of Slanesh.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Anything can fall to Chaos at pretty much at the end of the day. The only seeming exception I point out, being the Necrons and the Nids. Seeming exceptions. And even with the Nids, you still got the Chaos Genestealer cults.
You also have the confirmed case of Nurgle's Rot hitting Tyranids.
Yeah, but that could be argued as being more of a disease that they suffered from rather than actual being worshippers of Nurgle, per se.
That's true.
Big difference.
So that's debatable. But yes, the point still stands. So but my point is, everything can fall to Chaos, essentially. Be it human, orc, Eldar, Tau, or whatever. Nothing is incorruptible. Not even Grey Knights, which I have pointed out multiple times.
Question, who has the best warships, not including space stations, the rocks, the phalanx, and the Blackstone fortresses, the custodians?
Well, considering Abaddon's got the planet killer...
The custodians have a weapon that can cut dauntlesses in half.
The Orc attack moons?
I think that they would be considered a space station.
The phalanx?
Well, the phalanx is an exception on the list. Not including space stations, the rock, the phalanx, or the Blackstone fortresses.
I'll still stick with the planet killer, considering I can just one-shot... Its entire thing is to blow up planets without using things like cyclonic torpedoes and stuff like that. It just goes pew, bang.
It does take a while to charge up and kill a planet, but yeah.
But yes, it's one ship doing it rather than an entire fleet bombarding a world with cyclonic torpedoes.
Well, technically, it takes one cyclonic torpedo to ignite the entire surface and cause a surface-wide exterminat. Because there's several different types of exterminatuses.
True, but generally with most ships, you have to get in rather close. A planet killer, you don't.
Yeah, they killed it from one segmentum away?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm probably going to stick with... If you can blow up planets from an entire segment, an entire sector away, I stick with the planet killer because you've got the range on that. It's like, okay, just fire in that direction.
This doesn't count. Sorry, finish your point.
So, just fire from one sector away, just wait. Okay, 10 hours later, we blew up Nocturne. By accident.
This one doesn't count because it's an installation on a planet. But I need to raise that Necron orrery control center that can extinguish a fucking star.
That is actually written it was written into the lore as destroyed. And they only had one.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it is. The newest Necron Codex actually states that they lost it.
They were keeping orcs out from it, last I remember.
Yeah, they did lose it. And I think it's destroyed due to, rot and everything now.
Okay, good, because the orcs with their hands on that is just fucking terrible.
It's pretty much everything that was in the lore that was a super weapon for the Necrons is still kind of there, but they can't get to them.
Right.
I don't want to read that one.
We might have to.
How would you write a proper ending for? How would you write a proper ending for the demon Primarchs? I mean, killing them off.
And then they all went home for tea. The end.
You would have to do what Kion did to that Keeper of Secrets. You would have to dematerialize them.
Or you'd have to have the god turn on them.
Yeah.
Or the
That'd
Emperor
be very,
does,
very difficult.
Or the Emperor does some warp chicanery.
Pulls their soul back.
In fact, just get the Emperor to just go like, right, bored of this now, wipe.
That would be kind of funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's like, I'm back to life now. Wait, who's that? Fucking Horus?
Also, in that book, Talon of Horus, that was Horus.
It was a clone of Horus, yes.
Yeah, but it was perfect.
It was a perfect clone, yes. You're saying that as if you were surprised by Fabius Baal's work, considering he made like about 10 perfect clones of Ferrus Manus.
No. I'm saying that because, like, it had the same residency as a Primarch. It wasn't just like a clone. It was Horus.
Well, isn't a clone technically, a full-blown copy?
It is, but I'm getting to the point where it's more like psychological than actual like physical representation, because it
did recognize that.
Yeah,
and he also recognized his weapons.
But didn't the Ferrus Manus clones also do the same? He just didn't.
Yeah, so I wonder, that whole clone of Sanguinius that the Dark Eldar are doing.
Oh, stop it.
That's canon, I'm just saying.
I know, but shove it off and throw it into a warp portal.
I'm just saying, he's coming back.
Ugh.
I'm still waiting on Avrain to do it, but hey.
What new lore and miniatures do you think we will get for 2018?
Demons, considering the fact that the Codex is next. So we're going to get...
Yeah, we're going to get some new demons. I'm hoping for some new Cacophony Marines. I'm hoping for some love for Slaanesh.
Summer.
I personally would love to see Lair return to Slaanesh for a unique model.
Well, I've heard tell that it's going to be a cross-system Slaaneshi summer. I have heard that.
The summer of Slaanesh. It's like the summer of punk, except, yeah.
Even better.
Except no one's punching CM Punk, but hey.
This is an important question.
Go with regular extra crispies overrated.
If they cloned Lion 4 times, could they combine with the original to become Voltron? I'm sorry. I love that. I love it.
I would have preferred, if they clone Lion twice, could they just put him on a shirt?
Primaris Blood Angels have the Red Thirst. Implications are massive. The Red Thirst is actually a curse and is not really a gene seed thing.
No, you're thinking of the Black Rage. The Red Thirst was always there.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry, my bad. I always get those two confused.
Because remember, Sanguinius tried to keep it hidden.
Until we get an actual confirmed case of a Primaris Marine giving into the Red Thirst, or one that I'm aware of, I'm sorry, I may have missed it, but I think it's just a rules-wise thing.
Mm.
But the fact it's in the rules means that they believe that to be the canonical truth regardless. They still have the Red Thirst.
And don't forget, in, the Horus Heresy, before the Black Rage even was a thing, before Cygnus Prime, Red Thirst was there. It was still incredibly rare, to the point where Sanguinius basically was able to keep it secret by going, oh, he's got the Red Thirst, put him as killed in action, break his neck.
Yeah, that happened. That happened more than once.
And then Horus caught him in the act, and he was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
If you were to reboot 40K in its entirety, I'm gonna go on to the next question.
You might want to make this the last question, just considering the time.
All right, so I want to get a good one. Holy crap, this guy posted like 30 questions. And somebody's phone just went off. All right, well, we're pretty much at the last of them anyway, so I'll just read the first one that he posted. I've been reading a lot of audiobooks. He put reading in quotes, by the way. And one of the hallmarks is let's go to a different question. Please settle this argument between my friends and I. He plays orcs and believes that mega orcs from the Beast series are cool. I argue that the orcs the size of Titans are just silly and dumb. How can an orc become before it... I think they mean to say, how big can an orc become before it's ridiculous? Keep in mind that the orcs, it wasn't just an orc that became the size of a Titan. That was the Beast. It was a different category of orc, and it's extremely... Yeah, it's a Krork. They're extremely rare, even amongst the orcs themselves. Because the way I've always... And this is headcanon, this isn't confirmed or anything, but the way I've always seen it is one orc will breed Gretchens and maybe a few more orcs. More orcs will breed what will become knobs. And then from there, so on and so forth, including weird boys and things like that. Once they get to a certain size, they'll start breeding things like somebody that will become a war boss, like an actual big war boss. And not just the war bosses that they have already. Then you get warlords, and then as you get more and more, once you get to the point of trillions, which is not a large number for orcs, keep that in mind, but once you get to trillions, you'll start getting interstellar flight and things like that. But once you get to quintillions, you'll start seeing some of the crazier stuff, like them perfect teleportation, them doing open communication with varying races and learning their language almost instantaneously, as if on an instinctual level, because it is. They'll start making starships that are capable of fighting Imperial cruisers and Eldar ships, which is incredible. Then you'll start getting, once you go beyond quintillion, once you start unifying multiple clans, you'll start getting things like Quarks.
Bear in mind there's only one confirmed Krork still around, and it's in Trazen's collection.
Yep. So if that Krork gets out and spores out, that's going to be deadly. Don't
forget, though, an orc, the more an orc fights, the bigger it gets. The more it wins, the bigger it gets. I mean, look at Ghazghkull Thraka. He started off as a very, small boy. Then he got shot in the head. Then he had a vision. Started beating the shit out of everyone. Became like the biggest, meanest war boss there is currently.
And he's about the size of a dreadnought, I think.
Yeah.
Right now he's a little bit bigger than a dreadnought because he can like push them over.
Okay.
Just goes into it, it's like, oh, dreadnought, fuck off, timber, get out of my way.
Yeah, admittedly, but the thing is with the Beast and the Prime Orcs that the fact that we haven't seen anything on that scale again means that I think you can't talk about quintillions. You can't put a number. It was pretty much the entire orc race came together under the banner of the Beast.
It was only 6 clans.
There is only 6 clans.
Well,
yes, there are 6.
There are 6 different types of clans, but yeah, all big 6 came together. So it's not the unification of all orcs, it's just the unification of those 6.
Pretty much, though.
Don't forget not to confuse clans with tribes, because they are different.
Yep. Yeah. The clans are more or less their mindsets versus the tribes, which
the clans are also genetic traits as well, because, like, for example, Bad Moon's their teeth grow faster than everyone else's, Goths are more aggressive.
So on, But fights are more sneaky.
I think it is more likely that, by following your scenario, it is more likely the Beast was a relic of a bygone age and was less likely to have been newly born and raised, and more likely to have just been lost or otherwise thought dead than to have just been bred through whilst the orcs were at their weakest after they'd been shattered on Ullanor, for them to then suddenly just pop up with a leader of that size. On Ullanor, with a leader of that size and magnitude, it was either a complete one in a 10 to the 20.
Googleplex.
Yeah, 1 in a 10 to the 20 odd fluke. Or
Don't forget as well, when orcs are killed, Imperial soldiers tend to have to, cut off the heads to make sure they're dead. Because generally they can leave them for a few hours or a few days. They'll just sit back up and get to work again, as proven in the novel 15 Hours. So it could be possible that this, the beast was just a very, very large, a very small Krork who's just a big orc, left for dead, then like several years later just sat up. I was like, huh.
Also, I do want to address this as well. In the Dark Angel books, they do refer to Gazgul as the Beast. This isn't to confuse him with the beasts from the Beast Arises series. Those were Korks. Gazgul is the Beast, meaning that he is the biggest orc.
The Beast of Armageddon.
Yes, I know it's weird, but it is one of those things that we do have to clarify.
But it does kind of bring back the points, like, why are all the orcs going to Armageddon? Well, what was Armageddon's original name? Eleanor.
Yep.
So the orcs are just coming home.
Yeah.
So that'll be enough for the questions now, considering...
That's the end of them.
That's even better. So, any rants before we finish off this week?
No, honestly. I've said most of what I had to say, and my video on Christmas Day where I talked about how, like, AOS has basically been 40k's template, and the two of just need to work off each other now I've made that point already.
Fair enough. Alexis?
No, I'm good. I got really nothing. I'm enjoying audiobooks, and I gotta do a shout out to the authors. They're like really, really, really good. All the books that I've gone through in the past 2 days alone have been amazing.
Well, there you go then. So
I do have a book recommendation really quickly. If you haven't read not the Beast Arises series, you can skip that, to be honest. I want to say pick up the new Malcador book. It is essential if you're a Horus Heresy fan. It is essential if you just want to see how much of a dick the Imperium is. Talon of Horus is really good. Master of Mankind. These are 3 books that I highly recommend that you look into, look up, read them. They are amazing. Also Fulgur, but that's just a personal favorite.
Of course it is. So on that note, thank you very much everyone for tuning in this week. We hope you all had a good Christmas, Sanguinala, Emperor's Day, Candlemas, whatever it's called in the Imperium.
Slanesh.
That's not until New Year's.
I'm going to fight you on this.
And in any event, we do hope that you have a pleasant new year, and we will see you on the other side in 2018. In any event, we'll be back.
Merry Sanguinala.
Insert your very generic "see you next year" comment here. So, until next time, this has been Remlace from 40k Theories.
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
I'm sorry, that was just amusing because I expected you to say Michael. I'm Alexis the Ego Queen. I love you guys. Bye.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.